Are your Amazon sales growing, but your profit going the other way? Well, most Amazon sellers don't even realize it can be a profit trap. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 3 areas that I focused on in my business, which have turned my numbers around, and I've helped many other people in their businesses as well. And not only that, I'm going to share with you what to look for, but also how to solve the problem as well. Let me show you some real numbers from August this year. We did around 120,000 in sales at about a 26% ROI. Not the best month we've ever had, but it's consistent and a typical month. Now, these numbers include all of our prep costs and shipping to Amazon fees, and they're all included in those figures. Now, compare that to the same month a year ago. The revenue was lower, but look at the improvement. Our ROI went from 22% to 26% this year. Our margin increased from 12.7% to 15.4%. Okay, let's start with the first and simplest metric, profit margin. Now, this is a number I always check first. Assuming you're running an Amazon reselling business and primarily using FBA. When calculating your profit margin and all your profits, one thing I always recommend is make sure you include all your prep and ship costs into the cost of goods of your calculator tool. And this will be things such as your warehouse prep that might be around $1 per unit, and your shipping to Amazon costs, often around 50 cents, maybe $1 per pound, and sometimes a bit more. All of these should be built into your cost of goods in your profit and loss software, because it helps you to understand how much profit each individual unit is making you, even after all of those costs, which are part of the selling process. Now, the key target we're always aiming for here is a 15% gross profit margin. See that number here on my screen. Now, this is important because you can also see it on your P&L software, but you can also see it on your profit and loss at the end of the month or even from your accountant. Most sellers can get wrong, and it actually costs them thousands per month, and they're losing lots of profit from the revenue they're already making. This leads me nicely on to examine the next area, the next metric we look at, which is generally revenue. Specifically, most people earn anywhere between a few $1,000s per month that I work with, up to just below 6 figures per month. Now, we'll discuss revenue in more detail later on, but what's the most important metric I want you to look at right now in understanding revenue is more around your costs, and specifically your fixed costs. Now, in your business, you're going to have revenue, which is sales, and then you're going to have variable costs. So this basically means the more units you sell, the more stock you sell, the more those costs go up. So they're going to be things like the cost of goods, the stock that you're buying, also the Amazon fees, the FBA fees, all of the prep costs, the ship costs to Amazon. They're all part of that. If you didn't sell any stock, you wouldn't have those costs, because they don't exist. But there are some other costs which you have to pay regardless of whether you sell anything or not, or even if you buy stock or not, which is going to generally be software and tools. So typically in our business, the tools that we often pay for, which form part of our fixed costs, these are often going to be things such as like calculator tools such as SellerAmp, Keeper, a repricer tool can be $25, $50, even up to $100. A profit tracking software, one like I showed you, or even Sellerboard, you can get for $19. And obviously Amazon professional selling account. Now, I'll list all the ones that I use down below. But for you, and typically at a bare minimum, this is probably going to cost you around about $125 each month, give or take, depending on your setup. Now, managing these costs efficiently can make a huge difference when your profits are tight. So one of the common problems that I see is a lot of sellers will probably hire a VA, which can get really pricey. So it's best to keep your expenses really low until you're making good cash profits. And once you understand how to make good cash profits, then you can invest in scaling a profitable business, not an unprofitable business, because scaling an unprofitable business just doesn't make sense. The final area I look at is something that most people don't really recognize, but it's probably one of the most important numbers outside of actual margin and revenue. This is called your sell-through rate. And you can find this number under Amazon Seller Central by checking your IPI score under the inventory dashboard. Now, this metric shows you how quickly you sell through your stock over a 90-day period. For instance, a sell-through rate of 1 means that you sell through your entire stock in Amazon on average once every 90 days. A sell-through rate of 2 basically means that you sell through your stock twice in a 90-day period, or roughly 45 days. And essentially it measures how fast your inventory moves. Now, we'll get into why this is important later on and how to improve it later. But ideally, you really want your sell-through rate to be above 2.5, preferably above 3. And I think for resellers, we could even go to 4. Anything slower just ties up capital in unsold stock. Amazon's goal is at least 2, that's what they say. But again, resellers 3 or even 4, I think is a good number. I've just shared the numbers with you, and don't worry, in a minute, I'm going to share exactly how to fix them. But right now, I want you to understand what those numbers mean. If you're hitting these numbers and still struggling to stay profitable, something's going to be really off in your business, and we'll dig into why later on. But most businesses I see failing to make enough profit from their revenue are falling short in at least one or more of those 3 areas. Now, their margins are either too low, or their costs are eating into all their profit, or quite simply, they're just sitting on too much stock, which isn't actually moving, isn't selling. Now, these are the 3 key bottlenecks that generally hold a business back, and we'll talk about how to tackle each one in a minute. If you're finding this useful and you actually want to go faster in your Amazon business, then here are 3 ways I can help you. First, it's going to be hands-on guidance. Now, I offer one-to-one coaching, working together directly on your business to solve the specific problems that are holding you back. Number 2, if you want to be part of a serious group of Amazon sellers, check out a community I created called the Amazon FBA War Room. Now, we run weekly live coaching calls, training sessions, and have full course material to take you from 0 to 10,000, plus a really supportive group of other Amazon sellers. And right now, there's a free 7-day trial, so you can jump in and see if that's for you. And third, if you're just getting started and you want a shortcut to find profitable products, grab my free top 100 supplier list from both the UK and USA. It's packed with real suppliers for OA sellers, and it's where we found many of our profitable products from. Now, all of the links to this can be in the description down below, so check them out after this video. Now, I did say to you I was not only going to tell you what the 3 key metrics to look at and what you should be achieving, but now I want to tell you how to actually fix them, where to look, what to do to resolve the numbers. Let's get started. So let's start with the first metric, profit margin. Now, this is often the one that people most find challenging. I recommend including your shipping and prep cost into your unit cost in your P&L software. Number 1, it's easier to compare, but number 2, it just makes it really easy to understand how your business is running. If you don't do this, you're now going to achieve a higher profit margin, so maybe 20%, not 15%. But I definitely recommend putting the shipping and prep cost in. It's so important. Even if you do your own prep, I still recommend to factor this in because guess what? You don't work for free. And you should probably factor that into your company's P&L, but obviously you're not actually going to be paying it. So the real money will be there, but you understand how much money you would be making if you were paying someone else, which hopefully you do want to do later on to do that service, which is prepping and shipping. There are going to be 3 key actions I'm going to help focus on to improve this number. Now, at first, you might be buying deals that when you did the analysis showing the 15% profit margin, looks great, but when you actually sold the product, you no longer got that. So how do we deal with that issue between buy and sell and the time to improve our learning? Well, the way we've done it training so many people and even our own purchasing managers is we've got them to record a video every single time that they have analyzed a product. Now, this is really simple. We just basically used Vento, which is what we use now because you can get a one-time offer for just $50 on AppSumo. And what we do is we record a video when we analyze that deal. Then once we sell that product, if the product hasn't sold for 15% margin, then we go back and watch the video. And we ask ourselves one simple question. Knowing what we do now, what would we have done differently when we reviewed that deal? And the whole point behind this is to help us to understand how do we analyze our deals incorrectly so that when they sell in the market, we don't make the same mistake again. And for example, in my own business, many times I recognize that for all the bad deals, I started off the video yawning. I was tired. So what I recognize is don't do deal analysis when you're tired because I buy badly. Now, that is a great tool. Now, the second area, review what you're selling brand by brand. Now, a top tip here is use Keeper to load up your own storefront and check what are the key brands that you're selling, and then look to see how well they're performing on your business. You can probably export your P&L. You can look at them by brand and see which ones are driving the higher margin. Double down on those ones that are with consistent profits, drop those ones that don't. Now for this, we use a tool called SellerSnap, which is actually our repricer, but they have a great function in there called Data Hub, and I'll show you now. It basically gives us month-on-month insights over to our brands and how they're performing. Right now, I've got this set up in margin, and I can see, for example, this is a brand that we sold for a long time. Historically, April to June did really well for us, achieving that 15% or very close. Then it dropped down because we had some real big problems with some products that we were selling, and there's some issues. But we readjusted, refocused, changed suppliers, and what we can see is we're now putting it back up again in the month of October. Using tools like this can really help you to focus on those brands which are achieving the margin that you want to be getting. Now, the third area we look at is keep an eye on your refund rate. There is no point earning a 15% gross margin if your refund rate is just eating it all up. Aim to keep your refund rate below 4%. If a product exceeds that, we simply stop rebuying it. Now, how do we do that in my business? We use our profit and loss software to actually sell a toolkit, and that integrates very nicely in SellerAmp, and they pull the data in. So for this product, you can see we have sold 222 units. We've had 7 refunded, and our refund rate is 3.1%. So we're always just watching that number, and if that goes above 4, then we stop reordering this product because we recognize that actually that's eating into our profit margin, and so therefore we don't want to keep buying it. Now, moving on, I mentioned at the beginning the second area we wanted to focus on was revenue, but specifically this is more around capital and costs. This is where most people's attention go when they think about trying to fix a business. So what do we focus on here? Number one, the first thing you should do is cut all unnecessary costs. Now, if your overspending is unnecessary in areas, get them under control. Too often, again, I see people hiring VAs who don't bring enough return. As the solid guideline that we've used in our business is that a VA should be returning you at least 4 times their salary and profits. So if they earn $500 per month in salary, you should be seeing at least $2,000 per month from their work. This is an estimated profit. This is actual profits that you can see in your P&L from the products that they have sold. Now, after 3 months, if you're not getting that, it's likely not worth it. End the relationship. Reducing costs matters, but the one thing you will see is that when we focus on number 3, which is your sell-through rate, it also helps you deliver better capital, make more money available, which can also help drive better results. So these areas will compound, and this will give you more ability to grow and invest. Number 2, focus on high-value deals. Many sellers chase quantity over quality. Think about it this way. If you can only source 10 deals per day, it's much smarter to focus on making each one count. So a high value product, which maybe sells for $100, is probably going to make you more money than a product that sells for $10. This is going to help improve your margins and also improve your profitability per hour spent sourcing. Really big important area. Lastly, the third area is lending. My advice here is don't rush to borrow. Many people think, hey, I can just grow my business and I'll then become profitable. Trust me, been there, don't do it. Unless you truly need to, you probably shouldn't get lending. And I'm going to explain the kind of metrics I look at when we think about lending. Now, ideally, you should only seek funding when around 20% of your good deals are thrown away due to a lack of cash. Let me put it a really simple way. For instance, if you are sourcing Monday to Friday and by Thursday every week you'll run out of money to buy the products that you are sourcing, that's a good sign that you probably need lending, because 20% or 1/5 of your week, i.e. Friday, is now free to find more products that you can't actually buy. If you had the money from lending, you now can actually get good deals. You don't want to be getting lending when you haven't got good deals to spend the money on. Really important point. If you do take on debt, one thing I always like to recommend is not how much money should I get. The question is what's the right amount? And the key metric I look at here is the monthly repayment of the lending should never exceed your monthly profits. So for example, if you make $1,000 in profits, and by the way, we're not talking gross profits here, we're talking net profits after all those software costs that you pay for. Now, if you're making $1,000 in net profits per month, then the repayments per month on your lending should never be more than $1,000. This is just going to help you to avoid long-term cash flow issues, which I've seen time and time again. Let's talk about the final metric, the sell-through rate. It's a bit more advanced, so that's why I've left it to the end. But once you see how it influences your business, you'll never stop looking at this number again because it is so powerful. Now, at its core, the sell-through rate tells you how long it takes for your inventory to sell in Amazon. For example, if you improve your sell-through rate from 1 to 3, your stock now turnover time decreases from selling through 90 days on average, so that's 1 time in 90 days, to 3 times in 90 days, which is 30 days. So you go from 90-day average selling time to 30-day average selling time. This means you can now cycle your money 3 times faster. And if you can cycle your money 3 times faster, that means you now need less capital, money tied up in inventory, to make the same volume of sales. Now, a slower sell-through rate or lower sell-through rate means money locked up into unsold stock. But by increasing that sell-through rate means you're now freeing up cash that you can invest in more opportunities and reduce the need for external funding. So how do we actually drive these numbers to improve sell-through rate? First of all, have a day or 2 days a week where you look at all your aging inventory. And what I like to call it is attack them. Now, in my business, we do this on Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to load up our Seller Central. We could look at our other software. For example, we use Seller Toolkit, and our profit and loss software and we look at our older stock. Now, what we do is we start looking at the oldest stock and we start attacking it. We're trying to get it selling, getting it moving. Now, anything old, we want to get it moving down. And each day we're going to look at that and get on our repricer and get that stock moving. By doing this, we actively manage older stock and reduce down our sell-through rate. Now, secondly, we want to assess how much stock we're actually buying. Many sellers tell me when I ask them how much stock they buy, that they actually buy 1 month's worth of stock. Now, let me ask you a question. How much of your actual stock is still there after 1 month? Probably quite a lot. So the real problem comes is your analysis of the market conditions and how much to buy is probably not correct to the real market conditions. And so therefore you're just buying too much stock. So what do I recommend? Again, go through all of the stock where you've got too much stock and it's selling too long and look at how much did I buy? How long has it lasted? And go, why did I buy that much? What did I do wrong? And so therefore you can now start to learn from mistakes and really adjust those estimations and buy correctly, because we don't want to be buying more than 1 month's worth of stock. Again, we're going for a sell-through rate of 3, which is 1 month. 3 divided by 90 days is 30 days, which is 1 month, which is how much we should be buying and actually how much we need to check for. Now, the third and the most important part is another area I look at actually outside of Amazon, which does have a really big impact, is pay close attention to supplier delivery speeds. Now, if a supplier takes 1 or 2 months to deliver your current stock, then this could make your amazing sell-through rate actually really slow, because what you're not seeing is there's a really big delay in how long it takes to get that stock into Amazon before it gets into Amazon. Now, that sell-through rate number we talked about earlier is only Amazon. But remember, you're really trying to get your money, invest it in stock, get the stock sold, make a profit, and get that money back as quickly as possible. And supplier lead times are another huge area we've recognized is a big issue to look at. So partnering with faster suppliers can greatly enhance your sell-through rate and overall efficiency. If you found this video valuable, then take action on what we discussed today. And if you need some personal guidance, you can book a one-to-one coaching call with me, and we'll go through all of these in your business and look at the other areas that you might need help with. Don't forget to click the link down below to get started if you are looking for that. Now, the other thing I'll say is what you might recognize is that you'll probably discover that you've got quite a lot of Amazon products now which aren't performing as you expected and are really not selling. If that's the case, I want to link a video around here which walks you through 3 steps to take when your products aren't selling. It's a video that I recorded about 4 years ago, but it is super useful. So do check that out around here. Now, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button. And thank you very much for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.